Good morning, everyone. Here's my sister MJ, and we are here in my village of Pose. We are going to take a very long walk to the dam, and then we'll go to the Church of Saint-Quentin, which is the local village church. And she's going to tell you a little bit about the village because she lived here much longer than me and obviously knows more about the history of the village itself. So take it away, MJ.
Hi everybody, I am MG, as you hear from my accent. I'm a local. So, Pose is a little village in Normandy, and what is important in this village is that you can see here the river Seine. The river Seine is coming from the right after crossing Paris, to the left going to the sea, which is from a crow fly, maybe 100 kilometers only from here. And what made the village famous is that during the Middle Age times, the river was going down, there was a fall of the river here, and there was no dam. So the traffic was quite important between the sea and Paris, which was called Lutèce at the time. And in Pose, people had to take, when they came from the sea, they had to take the boats and to draw the boats from this little route that you can see here, which is called the Chemin du Halage. And sometimes you may have up to 100 guys with ropes on the shoulders and trying to climb the river fall, which we will see where the dam is today. And the name of the village comes from this job of taking up the boats on the rivers. And pose in French is a word that means rest. After taking the hard job of taking up the boats, they rested here. They had a pause, which is the name of the village today, Pose.
I didn't know that.
Okay, now you know. Another very important story is that in the earlier Middle Age, during the time of the Norman invasions, the Normans came from the sea with their boats. First, they rampaged Rouen, which was at that time the capital, and still is the capital of Normandy. And then they went up to the river Seine, they climbed up the river fall, and they established themselves here, because they consider that this hill here, that you can see, which is called the Hill of the Two Lovers, la colline des deux amants, was a very interesting strategic position for them to watch all the region and try to figure out where the kings would send his army to try to stop or to contain them from the invasion. So the Normans have stayed here about 3 years' time. And every time we build a new house or we have some work on the road or whatever, we find things from that time, from the Norman time, which is about, let me tell you, about the 9th century. Mm-hmm. So there is a legend here that between the two islands here, long ago, here, between the two islands, long ago there was a tourbillon, I don't know the name.
A whirlpool.
Yes, there was a whirlpool in the water, and one of the Norman king was drawn here. It was not the king, I think it was the brother of the king or whatever. They had a lot of kings in the Norman, and he died right here. And the legend is that sometime by night we can hear him speaking.
Oh yeah?
Yes. This is a legend. I've never heard him, but that's what it said. And I went on the island just 2 weeks ago with a friend of mine, with the brother of my late Laurent. Mm-hmm. We went by road all the evening up to Wonfreville. So this is the story of the village. And during the 19th century, the village was quite affluent. There were 6 to 7 farms. Today, of course, there are not only one is remaining. There were cafés, restaurants. There was a market 2 times a week. Mm-hmm. And it was a center because there was the school was here. So all the village nearby were sending school children. And I remember when I was little that some of them had up to 7 to 8 kilometers in the morning and in the evening to come to school here. Mm-hmm. We can't believe it that right now, but this is true. People were walking. One of the most important events remains quite unknown. It was at the end of the Second World War here in Pose. You know that the Americans had landed in Normandy, in the Normandy beach, which are about 1 hour and a half by drive from here. And the Germans were fleeing the American advance. And when they came here, there was an issue because all the bridges had been destroyed by the bombing. And so during 3 days, from Pose to the other side of the river, more than 100,000 German soldiers have crossed the River Seine. Can you believe that? In 3 days, more than 100,000 German soldiers from here to the island and from the island to the other side. They chose Pose because of the island. It was easier for them to build military bridges from one island to the other, you see? So we can imagine in this little village during three days, I don't remember the number of the army, but this German army fleeing, it was just incredible.
Didn't they have control of the dam?
Who?
The Germans.
Well,
during World War II, because this is the part of France that was occupied, they had control of the dam itself,
absolutely.
So the locks and the dam.
The dam was built in 1905, but I will tell it later if you want. And it was quite destroyed during the First World War, and by bombing, I think. And the Germans were obliged to rebuild the dam during the 30s.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but it was not bombed or destroyed during World War II, which would have been terrible because all the lands below would have been flooded with that.
Yeah.
And this is the last dam before the sea. And what is very funny is that on the other side of the dam, considering that the sea is just, as I told you, about 1 hour far from here, you can see the waves.
The marshes.
The marshes.
The tides.
Yes, you can see the tides from the River Seine. When the tide is low, the River Seine is drawn by the sea, and then the River Seine is pushed back by the sea, and you can see that right here
At the dam.
At the dam, you can see the River Seine going down and up and down and up twice a day.
So when we go to the dam, we'll find out whether we are at low tide or high tide. Did you hear the story, Willie?
Yeah.
Did you find it interesting?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to show you a little bit of the village so you can see a typical Norman village along the Seine River, and then when I come back I'll tell you the story of the 2 lovers and 2 Lovers Hill. So we're coming to the Reptile Gallery. This is a lady who moved in the village and is a painter, and all she does is paintings of the village, and they are absolutely stunning. I hope she lets me film. They're quite expensive, unfortunately. Can't afford any of that stuff. So I'm giving you a little look of how pretty a house is. So here we are coming onto the dam in Pose, and right in the back, when I pass the corner you'll see it. This is Two Lovers Hill, and there's a very, very nice legend. See, right there. This is Two Lovers Hill. So the story here of Two Lovers Hill, I hope you can hear me because of the dam sound. Once upon a time, around Middle Ages, there was a lord who lived up on top, and he had a daughter who fell in love with a villager here at the bottom, and he was not too happy about that. So he wanted to have him prove his valor to him and the rest of the family to make sure that he was really worthy of his daughter. So he asked him to climb the hill with the daughter in his arms, and if he could make it all the way up to the top, then he would allow him to marry his daughter. Well, the young man from the village took the girl in his arms and started walking all the way up the hill. And of course, by the time he arrived all the way on top, he did make it, but he died instantly of sheer exhaustion. And of course, being very distraught and in full-blown grief, she took a dagger and planted it into her heart, and they both died on top of the hill. Now, whether it's true or not, I'm not sure if there is documentation of this, but it's been the story of Two Lovers Hill for about 2 centuries now. What do you think? Edward? That's cool, huh?
Yeah, it's magnificent.
Willie, what do you think?
If this broke, I would be dead. No, you wouldn't be dead. You'd fall into the water. The water would break the fall. Yes, this water has fallen.
Look behind you. So these are the locks that were controlled by the German during the war, because this is the last dam and locks before you get to the channel, the English Channel, which is all the way in the background over there. So now you can see it from here because it's, like my sister said, it's an hour and a half from here. But when we went to Honfleur, if you keep going straight that way, that's Honfleur. Over there is Rouen. And tomorrow when we leave to the landing beaches, we'll go straight this way and then we'll make a left. But these are the dams. So the village here is called Pitre, and then our village Pose is on the other side. And to this day, even though the war was 7 years ago, there's still a little bit of a feud between these guys here and my village over there, because some of them collaborated and some did not. And family feuds go on 7 years later. So I hope you enjoyed the little tour of my village, and that's only like one part of it. Definitely picturesque, and my sister is quite fun. But now we are on the other side of the village, like literally opposite side of the village, and we are visiting the Church of Saint-Quentin, which is my village church and the church where this girl here was baptized. So I hope you enjoy it. The church itself is from the 11th and 12th century. It's a very, very old Romanesque style church. There is some Templar history here. I'm not sure where it is exactly on the church. We might have to go all the way around it, but I think there's some marking from the Templars in here. But it's beautiful inside, it's beautiful outside, and like most village churches, you can see it is surrounded by its own cemetery. And some of the old folks here are family names that have been in the village for a very long time. So you have entire families here of 150 years worth of generations buried in this particular cemetery. So I'm just going to, before I show you the church, I want to show you typical cemetery in France. The tombstones are above ground, just like you would see in Louisiana, in New Orleans in particular. And then when you see what they call a cocarde, which is a red, white, and blue little circle like this, it indicates that this is somebody who was a veteran, fought for the war, or died during the war, but definitely was a veteran. So you can see a lot of those. This one obviously died during the war because you have the cocarde, and the year of death was 1944. So if we can see another one. Let's see, so here's the cemetery. This one died in 1937. Okay. And here is the church. And it's not the best view. Probably going to go on the other side so you can see the other side of the church. How'd you like this cemetery, Edward? It's a tombstone, somebody who died in 1862, 1884. You see how the tombstones are different here?
Yeah.
Is the church. we just took a ride and we are going to Chateau Gaillard, which we missed the other day. So I took a different road so you can see it from the other side. And then when we get there, you'll see this side from over there. So Scott's going to turn the camera around and I hope you can zoom in. And this is valley of the Seine River, right? And all the way in the background is the Chateau Gaillard. So now there are tunnels. I was explaining that in the other video when we went to Gisors, that actually connect this castle to the Gisors castle. And this one was built by Richard Lionheart, and it was supposed to be foolproof, meaning that you could just not siege and capture this castle. Well, it turned out that it did a 7 or 8 week siege during the 100 Years' War, and the British actually took it back. And in order to do that, they managed to get through the sewer. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So that particular view that you see is protected by the UNESCO, meaning that the UN Environmental Services have decided or decreed that you cannot build anything new in this area right in front of you. This is entirely protected as a historical view. You made it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is one side of the castle right here, and we still have a hike. We're just going to follow the easy road rather than taking the little trails. And this is the view that is protected by the UNESCO. It was a hike. What we got here?
Yeah, 58 steps is a hike.
Yeah. And one side of the castle is right here, but the best part is on the other side. So welcome to Chateau Gaillard. I personally think this should be one of the wonders of the world. And here is a 180-degree view.
Whoa, look at those cruise ships.
Of the Seine Valley. Bonjour. So surprisingly enough, the castle appears to be in ruin, but it's not because of time. It's because of 18th, 19th and 20th century village folks coming here to get basically free stoned. And they help themselves to the rocks, the walls, everything they could possibly pillage to build their own houses. So eventually, when this became a protected environment and a historical site, the government said no more. You cannot use these stones to build your own houses anymore. So that's the reason why most of the castle is gone. We're gonna go into the main tower. There was a siege here between the British and the Normand and the Kingdom of France. And it was supposedly impenetrable, and which for a long time was true. It was pretty much the Middle Age Death Star. You just could not attack and take over the castle. So one day some guy from the opposite side decided to maybe he could check out the real foundations of the castle itself, and he found out that there was a tunnel where only one person could go through, and that particular tunnel was the sewage system. That was where they would get rid of the waste. And he went all the way inside the fortress, came back down and told the troops, hey, I think I found a way to get in. And he got in, and in the middle of the night, over 200 soldiers invaded the castle like this, and that's how the castle finally fell into the hands of the enemy. So now we're going to go inside, and I'm glad it's still open because the last time I was here it was closed. So we're going to be able to see the castle proper, since it's open until 6 p.m.